moment in all of our lives when we realize that the version of ourselves we've been presenting to the world isn't the whole story. We shave off the rough edges, hide the insecurities, and put on a performance we think will earn us approval. But the truth is, the world doesn't need the curated version of you. It needs the real, unfiltered, fully present version of you. Owning your story means embracing the moments you once tried to erase. It means standing tall in your struggles, your setbacks, and your seasons of uncertainty. The irony is we admire people who are real and authentic, yet we are terrified to be those people ourselves. We fear judgment, rejection, and the possibility that if people see the full picture, they won't accept us. But what if the thing you're afraid to share is the very thing that connects you to others? What if your greatest strength isn't in your perfection, but in your willingness to be seen as you are? Think about the people you admire most. Are they flawless? No. They are real. They are human, and that's why they inspire us. They don't hide their struggles. They use them. They don't pretend they always had it figured out. They tell the truth. And in doing so, they give others permission to own their stories too. You might be in a chapter of your life right now that feels like a mess. You might feel like you're failing, like no one sees your effort, like you don't have what it takes to become who you dream of being. But I want you to hear this. The struggle isn't proof that you're not good enough. It's proof that you are growing. The most powerful thing you can do is stop waiting for your story to be perfect before you own it. The world doesn't need a polished version of you. It needs the truth. It needs the version of you that's still learning, still growing, still figuring things out. Because that version of you is real, that version of you is relatable, and that version of you will become undeniable. Stop waiting for permission to own your journey. Stop hiding the parts of you that make you unique. The moment you step into your story with honesty and courage, you become someone the world can't ignore. Not because you try to impress them, but because you dare to be real. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. Too often we are taught that putting ourselves first means neglecting others, that prioritizing our growth makes us self-centered. But the truth is, you cannot give your best to the world if you are constantly running on empty. You cannot build something meaningful if your energy is scattered, trying to meet everyone's expectations but your own. Radical self-commitment means showing up for yourself with the same dedication you show up for others. It means deciding once and for all that your growth, your peace, and your dreams are worth the effort. It means refusing to shrink yourself to make others comfortable and no longer apologizing for wanting more. It's about fully investing in your own journey without guilt, without hesitation, and without needing external validation. The world will always have opinions about what you should be doing. People will tell you to play it safe, to follow a certain path, to keep your ambitions at a level that doesn't disrupt the status quo. But their opinions do not pay the price for your regrets. At the end of the day, you are the one who has to live with the choices you make. And if you spend your life prioritizing what everyone else wants, you may wake up one day realizing you never truly lived for yourself. There is a certain kind of discipline that comes with radical self-commitment. It means setting boundaries and being okay with disappointing people who expected you to always be available. It means waking up each day and choosing your growth, even when no one is watching. It means staying focused on your journey, even when it feels lonely. Because the truth is, when you decide to focus on yourself, not everyone will understand. Some people may take it personally. Some may question why you are changing, why you are no longer engaging in the same habits, why you are saying no more often. That is not your burden to carry. Growth requires sacrifice. It requires letting go of distractions, of patterns that no longer serve you, of environments that keep you stuck. And the moment you start choosing yourself, you will see just how much energy you have been wasting on things that were never meant for you. If you will realize how much space you've given to people who do not pour into you the way you pour into them. And when that realization hits, you will have two choices. Return to the comfort of what is familiar, or step boldly into the unknown and commit to becoming the person you were always meant to be. The hard truth is, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to push you to become your best self. That responsibility belongs to you. And the sooner you stop waiting for permission to invest in yourself, the sooner you will see how powerful you truly are. Focusing on yourself does not mean shutting the world out. It does not mean you stop caring about others or stop showing up for the people who matter. What it means is that you stop abandoning yourself in the process. It means that you recognize your value, your potential, and your ability to create something meaningful with your life. So show up for yourself. Be relentless in your pursuit of growth. Set goals that scare you. Do things that challenge you. Say no to distractions and yes to opportunities that push you forward. Because the moment you decide to fully commit to yourself, the world will begin to take notice. Not because you demanded their attention, but because your transformation will be impossible to ignore. We live in a world obsessed with recognition. We celebrate those who achieve great things, but we rarely talk about the years of unseen effort that led to their success. We see the highlight reels, the applause, the public validation, and we assume that's what success looks like. But the truth is, real success, lasting success, is built in the moments when no one is watching. Resilience is the ability to keep going when the world gives you nothing in return. It is the decision to continue even when you feel invisible. Most people quit when they don't see immediate results. They start something with enthusiasm, but when the recognition doesn't come fast enough, they begin to doubt themselves. They assume they must not be good enough, talented enough, or lucky enough, and so they stop. But those who are truly undeniable, the ones who go on to make an impact, are not the ones who were handed success. They are the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who chose resilience over recognition, who showed up every single day, not because they were promised a reward, but because they believed in their work. There is a moment in every journey when you will feel like what you're doing doesn't matter. When you will wonder if your effort is pointless, if your time is being wasted, if you are fooling yourself into believing that all of this will pay off. This is the moment that defines you, because while most people walk away at this point, the ones who push through, who show up one more time, who give one more effort, those are the people who succeed. Think about it. How many talented people do you know who never reached their potential because they gave up too soon? How many ideas never came into life because someone didn't believe in themselves long enough to see it through? Talent alone is not enough. Passion alone is not enough. You need grit. You need the ability to keep going even when it feels like you're running in place. Some of the greatest success stories in history are filled with years of failure, rejection, and obscurity. The people we admire, artists, entrepreneurs, athletes, leaders, were once unknown. They were once just people doing the work with no audience, no recognition, no external validation. But they kept going, and eventually their work spoke for itself. The question is, can you do the same? Can you stay committed to your path even when no one is clapping for you? Can you trust the process even when it feels slow? Can you keep showing up even when the results aren't immediate? Because if you can, you will develop something more powerful than recognition. You will develop resilience. And resilience is what will carry you through every challenge, every setback, every moment of doubt. The truth is, the world doesn't owe you recognition. No one is required to validate your effort or applaud your progress. And that is why most people never reach their potential, because they expect the world to affirm them before they've proven themselves. But the world doesn't work that way. The world only recognizes those who refuse to be ignored. The ones who keep going, who keep pushing, who build something so undeniable that eventually people have no choice but to take notice. So don't chase recognition, chase growth, chase mastery, chase the kind of resilience that makes you unstoppable, because when you do that, the recognition will come, not because you needed it, but because you became someone the world couldn't ignore. There's something powerful about a person who fully steps into their own potential. They don't beg for attention. They don't try to prove their worth. They simply exist in their truth so boldly, so unapologetically, that their presence becomes undeniable. That is what happens when you stop waiting for validation and start focusing on becoming the best version of yourself. Most people are afraid of being seen, not for who they pretend to be, but for who they truly are. There's a fear that if we let the world see our real selves, it won't be enough. that if we step forward, unfiltered and unpolished, we will be judged, dismissed, or rejected. And so we stay small, we play it safe, we make ourselves easy to overlook because being invisible feels less painful than being vulnerable. But here's the thing, you cannot be undeniable and invisible at the same time. You cannot become someone the world can't ignore if you are constantly hiding. If you want to be recognized, not just for what you do, but for who you are, you have to be willing to be seen. And being seen is not about chasing fame or attention. It is about owning your space, taking up room in this world, and stepping fully into the person you were meant to be. Think about the people who inspire you, the ones whose presence alone commands respect, whose energy shifts a room. What is it about them that makes them so powerful? It's not their titles. It's not their social status. It's their confidence in themselves. It's the way they carry their story, the way they refuse to shrink. They are not waiting for permission to show up. They just do. That is the kind of energy that becomes impossible to ignore. But the only way to embody it is to stop waiting for the world to accept you before you accept yourself. You have to stop looking for external validation before you allow yourself to step forward. The world will only see you the way you see yourself. If you doubt your worth, the world will too. If you don't believe in your own greatness, no one else will either. This is where courage comes in. Because stepping into your power is not easy. It requires a level of boldness that might feel unnatural at first. It requires speaking up when you've been conditioned to stay quiet. It requires standing firm in your truth, even when people don't understand it. And most of all, it requires being okay with discomfort, with growing pains, with the awkwardness of stepping into a new version of yourself. Because make no mistake, when you begin to show up differently, not everyone will celebrate you. Some people will resist your growth because it challenges their idea of who you are. Some will project their own insecurities onto you, making you feel like you're being too much or that you should tone yourself down. But that's not your problem. You are not here to make other people comfortable. You are here to become everything you were meant to be. And here's the irony, the moment you stop worrying about being seen is the moment you become impossible to ignore. When you no longer seek validation, people start paying attention. When you commit to your growth, people start asking how you did it. When you refuse to shrink, the world has no choice but to make room for you. So be bold, be courageous, be willing to be seen even before you feel ready. Because one day you'll look back and realize you were never waiting for the world to notice you. You were waiting for yourself to step into the light. And the moment you did, everything changed. The world will always have opinions about your worth. People will judge you based on what they see, what they hear, and what they assume. But here's the truth. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to prove yourself. So you don't need to beg for recognition or validation, because the moment you commit to doing the work fully, consistently, and with integrity, the results will speak louder than anything you could ever say. We spend so much time trying to be understood, trying to convince people to see our value, but real impact is not made through words alone. It's made through action. It's made through showing up every single day, whether people are watching or not. It's made through the quiet discipline of choosing growth over comfort, of choosing persistence over ease. The loudest proof of who you are and what you are capable of is not in what you say, it is in what you build. Think about the people who have left a lasting mark on this world, the visionaries, the leaders, the artists, the innovators. Did they spend their time convincing people to believe in them? Or did they simply do the work until the world had no choice but to take notice? They weren't asking for permission. They weren't seeking validation. They let their work speak for itself, and eventually it became impossible to ignore. This is what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck in frustration. Some people waste energy chasing recognition, while others channel that energy into becoming so good at what they do that recognition becomes inevitable. Some people worry about whether or not they are being noticed, while others stay focused, trusting that the results will speak louder than any argument they could ever make. The truth is, success is quiet at first. It doesn't come with applause. It doesn't come with immediate validation. It comes with long hours, with unseen effort, with small, consistent actions that don't seem significant in the moment, but over time, all of those quiet, unnoticed moments build into something undeniable. And when that happens, when the results begin to show, something shifts. The same people who once overlooked you will start asking for your time. The same people who doubted you will start wondering how you did it. But by then, you won't need their validation because you will have already proven it, not through words, not through explanations, but through action. This is why patience and consistency matter, because most people give up too soon. They expect quick results, and when they don't see them, they assume they failed. But the truth is, success is not about speed, it's about endurance. It's about being willing to do the work even when it feels like no one cares. It's about believing in yourself so deeply that external validation becomes irrelevant. So let your work speak for itself. Let your growth be the loudest response to doubt. Stop explaining. Stop seeking approval. Just show up day after day and do the work, because the world cannot ignore someone who refuses to quit, who refuses to shrink, who refuses to let their success be dependent on external validation. And when the results finally show, when your work speaks so loudly that no one can deny it, you will realize something powerful. You never needed to convince anyone in the first place. You just needed to become undeniable.